Let's take a look at installing the JetDirect printer cards in an HP printer. This is a new old stock one from eBay as of March 2021. Somebody on eBay and Amazon emptied a warehouse, I guess, of new old stock. Amazon about 20 bucks each. eBay, they're about $11 each. Free shipping, not a bad deal for a new card. Turn the printer on and off while you're doing this. It's going to take a little while to initialize. This is the 4050. Same procedure for the 4000, 2100, 2200, and probably quite a few other printers as well. We're also going to do the same with a handful of used eBay cards here. The cards that are supposed to work in these are the 600N, the 610N, 620N. I think they've got a 630 and a 635. This is a 630, and of course the higher you get the number, the more expensive they get. I use mostly 610s and 620s. I don't think I've ever had a 600 work on me. They always seem to have an issue. So we're going to wait till this machine boots up. We're going to come over here. This is Windows 10. I'm just going to type in printer. You can see this, and what we're looking for is add printer. All right, see that screen right there. This is Windows 10. I believe it's the same for Windows 7. I never experimented with 2000 or Vista or 8. Of course, if you have 8, you should probably upgrade anyway. And then before that, it's XP, and there's a different way for installing on those, but it's pretty straightforward with 10. This is how it should work. So let's see if our machine has, there we go, okay. 4050 and the 4000, it says ready. So we're going to click on add printer. Now what's going to happen, as soon as this little line pops up underneath, it says the printer that I want isn't listed. You're going to click on that. Next window pops up and it says that you've got an option here for my printer is a little older. Yes, it is. So you're going to click on that. You're going to hit next, and the card is going to pop up. Card communicates with the printer, whether you have it in 4000, 4050, 2200. This is the window you're going to get. This little icon. You may have other printers on your network. So anyway, you're going to click on the one that you want. You're going to hit next. Okay, I already have the drivers for this on my computer. You probably aren't. You're going to be asked to find a driver. You're going to have a list of drivers, and it's going to be a very short list, as very few people use these old printers. What you will do is download drivers from Microsoft. It's just like doing a Windows update. You'll click on that window, it'll go and get tons of drivers. You need to pay very close attention to the type of printer you have. This is, what is it, a LaserJet 4050. They have LaserJet, ColorJet, OfficeJets. Don't get those mixed up. They recycle numbers, and you'll get the wrong driver. Don't worry about the letter at the end. That usually designates the number of trays and whether it came with a network card in it. It's just the numbers. You'll need to find that driver. In this particular case, I already have this on my computer, so it's use the driver that's currently installed. For the 4050, it's an HP LaserJet 4050 series PL5. Now, there are two categories for finding these drivers. One is Hewlett-Packard and the other is HP. I have no idea why they did that. If you can't find your driver on HP, check the listing for Hewlett-Packard. There'll be a whole list of manufacturers, and click on the manufacturer and they'll give you a whole list of printer drivers. The PCL5 is the most advanced one they have for the 4000s and 4050s. For the 2100s and the 2200s, they have a 5, they have a 6, and they have a postscript. The postscript works horribly. It's an incredibly slow driver. I'm not exactly sure what the purpose of it is. Maybe you know more about it, but postscript takes forever to print. The 6, I've had issues with the 2200 and the 2100. I usually go with the 5. It works fine. I think there was supposed to be a higher resolution, but there's other ways on the print manager you can change that. Anyway, it works fine with the 5, and the print looks fine. Anyway, we're going to click printer name. I already have a 4050 on here. This is a second one. You can name the printer whatever you want it. We're going to click next. It is installing. Here's your, and this is all network installation. So you're going to say share this printer with others on the network. I'm assuming you want to do that. You're going to click next. You're going to click a test page. It's going to print that test page, and we'll go take a look at it, and then you click finish, and you are done. There we go, one test page done. And we're going to come back here, click finish. Now, what often happens, and we're going to install another card. I'm going to turn the printer off. This one was the new old stock, a 620M. I'm going to take it out. And we're going to put one of these eBay cards in that I picked up. Give me a second here. Kind of hard doing this with one hand. Okay, identical card, 620M. This one was used though. We're going to put it in, tighten it down, hook it up, and let's get it going here. There we go. It's going to need to boot up again. And I'll show you what happens when they don't install correctly. And there's an issue with it. We're going to wait till this screen says ready. Now, we'll talk about something else with these cards. There are thousands of these floating around, these cards. I have found that if they've been sitting on the shelf, not being used, they seem to go bad. If you get one, it's working in your printer, leave your printer on. Something about having electricity going to it, they'll last forever. The one that I have here has been on for about 3 years, no problem. We have other ones, printers that we take out of commission, put on a shelf for maybe 6 months or a year. When we go to fire those up, the cards don't work in them. When we go to our box of stash of these things, half of them don't work. Whenever we buy these things from eBay or Amazon, we always test to make sure they work, but if they're sitting in a box 6 months later, they may fail. So yeah, keep that in mind. There's talk on the internet that you can take the plastic cover off of them, take those screws off and stick them in an oven for 5 minutes at 400 degrees. I think that's what the temperature was. I've done that to about 7 or 8 of them. One has worked, and it worked for maybe about a month, and then it stopped. So try that. Okay, this one's ready. And let's go back. We're going to do add printer, same thing. Printer wasn't listed. We're going to click on that. My printer's a little older. Click on that. Okay, now we get this scrolling. We're going to come back to this because it's not going to work. I've tried it. Now, let's come up here, and there's a way of... Sorry, this is not a very good view. Regardless as to what printer you have, HP printers, you can print a configuration page. On the 4050, we're going to the top button. We're going to go one over, so we go from ready to information menu, go to item button down below and scroll through that, print menu map, print configuration. There we go, and then hit the bottom button for select. It's going to print. All right, configuration page is printed up. This is with the card that we just tried to install that was bad. And let's take a look at it. Down here, what you're looking for is a second page, configuration page. Second page is going to have listed the EIO ports. We have 2 in this one. This is number 2 is what we're dealing with right now. So this is our configuration page for that card that we just installed. And this is probably the mistake that a lot of people make. They put the card in the printer, they print a configuration page, and they figure that since the JetDirect popped up that it's working. Well, the card's communicating fine with the printer. It's not communicating with the network, and that's the issue. So here's another way we can do it, and also just to verify, Okay, back here, still didn't find the card. So we're gonna hit cancel. We're gonna hit that, same thing. The printer that I was looking for couldn't be found, and now we're gonna look at a different way of installing it. Select a shared printer by name. We don't have a name, but what we can do is, let's see, IP address. So let's choose the IP address. Next, it's going to want host name or IP address. And I'm just gonna read these to you and we're gonna enter them. Sorry, I should have got help doing this. Let's see, the IP address is 10.40.1.10, is that right? IP address, yeah. 10.42.16, okay, that's a subnet. All right, so now we're gonna try installing it via using the IP address, and then we're gonna come back and try it again with a host name, just to confirm. So here we go. Contacting printer, trying to communicate with that card through the network, and it's not going to do it. Incidentally, this is how you would install, this is how we used to install these things on XP. We didn't have that nifty little feature where it would find it on its own or look for an older printer. So if you've got an older system, you can always print out that configuration page. The configuration page, that's how you do it on the 4050s, the 4000s, on the 2200s and the 2100s. I think you push 2 of the buttons simultaneously and it'll print out the configuration page. You can do a search online for that. Okay, well, we'll let the computer decide whether it can find it or not. Meanwhile, we're going to take a look at the host name, which is the other way to install this. Host name, okay, bunch of letters, numbers. I'll zoom in on this quickly just so you can see. You see the host name up there at the top. The second one down is IP address. Okay, we're back up. The device is not found, so we're kind of screwed. If it's not finding it that way, we're in trouble. So let's go back. I'm going to do this one more time. Try to find a printer and click on wasn't listed. Now we're going to click again on this. This isn't a Bluetooth. It's we could do the host name next. I'm going to put in the host name, which is a bunch of letters. Same thing. Same information. I couldn't find it. Okay, so there we have it. One 620N from eBay, works fine, but of course it was new old stock. Doesn't necessarily mean it would work. It's been sitting on a shelf for quite some time, so we have about 5 of these, and every single one we opened up and checked, and they all work. Whether they're going to work in 6 months or a year, I don't know. And then we've got a handful of other ones. These were used ones, and none of them worked. They had that exact same issue. All right, so there you have it. The second part of this was really just sort of a confirmation that a defective card is a defective card. As I'm sure most sellers are going to ask you to really run the gamut on everything on it, although we would all much rather have a card that you can just click find printer, and it takes the easy route that we did. But yeah, again, five used cards here, and not a single one of them worked, and then the 620s, we have 5 of those, which are relatively new, do. So there really isn't any reason why this should operate different than that. They're exact same cards, the 620Ns. One has probably been in use for 20 years in a conventional environment. The other one's been on a shelf for 20 years, I guess. All right, one last thing to try for your JetDirect card, if you can't get it to work in your printer, is a cold restart. And I'm going to show you how we do this on a 4050. You've got to hold the go button down while you turn it on. Give me a second. Okay, that's what's going to pop up on the screen. It said cold restart. As soon as cold restart pops up, you take your finger off the go button and it goes through a cold restart. Every HP printer has a cold restart. Cold restart resets absolutely everything. The printer, the JetDirect cards, everything takes back to factory settings. So not something you necessarily want to do, but this seems to work for a lot of issues with the JetDirect card. What happens is you get a card, the DHCP server from the previous owner has assigned an IP address to it. That IP address stays with the card. You now are trying to install it on your network. Your range is different. The card is now outside, the IP address is outside of the range of your network, and the card is unable to communicate with your network and pick up a new IP address. Here we go, it's running. Now, you can go online to find the cold restart process for whatever printer you have. The 2100, the 2200, there we go, restoring factory settings. It's a matter of holding a couple of buttons when you start it up, and then the 4050 and the 4000 sort of goes like this. Now, you see what's going on here. It says offline. So what I've found the best solution is to just turn it off and turn it on again. As mentioned before, this resets everything. So you're gonna, either you have a spare printer around, HP printer you can do this with, or you realize that all the settings on your printer are going to be set back to factory settings. So let's wait patiently, and this is going to kick on in a second, and we're going to do a search and see if we can't find one. This is a card, a 620N, that previously I couldn't configure to my network and use. So we're going to try this method. And this is sort of an auxiliary printer. It's not our main printer, so I don't care how many times I reset this one. So let's give it a minute. Be patient. Maybe I'll get motivated and edit this part out. There we go. Initializing. And now the offline flashing, we should not get. It should go to ready. There we go. Tray 3 empty. I don't have paper in there. And ready. There we go. Okay, let's go over here. Okay. Same screen. We're going to go add printer. Remember, it never finds it like this. We wait for the this to pop up underneath. The printer that I want isn't listed. You see it down there. We're going to click on that, and then it's going to ask us a couple of options here. My printer is a little older. Help me find. Now, it should find it relatively quickly. Now, what I find when you're doing a cold restart, it doesn't necessarily find it as fast as it's supposed to. I don't know why, but don't give up on it yet. I know that when it was flashing offline earlier, it couldn't find the card. I did this with another card. I printed a configuration page, and then I was able to find the card afterward. And what also works, instead of wasting paper, is turning it on and off. But here it's not doing it, so we're gonna. I've done this before. Let's hope it works. We're gonna cancel. We're gonna try and do it again. There we go. Okay, so now it popped up this time. Never had to do it more than 2 times. I don't know if it's what it is. If you need to do it, if it's based on time, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or if it's just 1 or 2 times. Okay, I've got the existing driver in this, so let's, you see I've done this 5 times. I'm doing this a lot with old cards. All right, let's printed test page. Making some noise. Let's see what's happening. Okay, there we go. So if all else fails, you can try the cold restart in your printer. Now, it has to be the cold. And I'm going to show you on this one. Let's see if I can hold this and show you. There is an option for resetting. It doesn't work. Reset the memory, I tried that. Restore factoring settings, not the same as a cold restart, didn't work. The active I/O channels, ports, you might think that would work, but no, tried it, it didn't work. It's got to be a cold start. That is the only thing that worked. And this came from an old HP tech that clued me into this. So if all else fails, try the cold restart. But again, keep in mind that everything is reset to factory settings. So if you've got menu configurations, paper tray configurations that aren't done on the that are done on the printer, you may need to go through and redo those. Although I think that's going to be a heck of a lot easier than trying to find another card that is within your IP range of your network. All right, good luck.